Hello and welcome to another round of Tuesday Night Legacy, where we get to showcase Magic's most powerful formats. I'm Bryson, I will be your commentator for this evening, and we've got William with Black-White Death and Taxes on the left, and Steven playing Black-White Greasefang on the right. Now this Death and Taxes list has the classic shell of Thalia, Stoneforge Mystic, as well as Cauldra, Recruiter, Wasteland, Aether Vial, all these disruptive elements, while also running black for the mainboard Plague Engineer as well as optional black sideboard slots. Now Steven here, playing this Greasefang deck, is trying to get a Parhelion into play as fast as possible attacking. And that happens with Greasefang's beginning of combat trigger, which allows you to put a vehicle into play with haste attacking, and then you return to the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Usually that last part is pretty detrimental, but Parhelion swings with a crew of two 4/4 angels. So if you're able to get the Parhelion across the line, then you'll get these two 4/4 angels out of the deal. And this is paired with the Grief Ephemerate package, as well as running the Sedgemoor Witch Chain of Smog combo, which allows you to infinitely target yourself with Chain of Smog, creating infinite 1/1 pests through the Sedgemoor Wisp. Enough with the intro, let's get the game going. Believe Steven got the play here with a shaky no-lander, decides to go with Lotus Petal into Dark Ritual, floating 3 black mana, eyeing that Entomb in his hand. Most likely going to be entombing for hopefully a Greasefang, get this whole show going. 2 black mana floating there. Looks like he went past the Greasefang and went for the Grief. The new Modern Horizons 2 cycle, the Pitch Elemental is allowing you to exile a card from your hand to evoke. When Grief enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand and you choose a non-land card from it and they discard it. So McCarty here decides to reanimate the Grief, taking 4 from reanimate as you lose life equal to his CMC. And now he gets to see Steven's script full of 2 Swords to Plowshares, Stoneforge Mystic Plague Engineer, Thalia, and he's got a Wasteland and Caracas to also deal with what Steven has. Really, Steven would like to take the removal spell, but with 2 of them, he's forced to take the potent threat being the Stoneforge Mystic, allowing William to get a Batter Skull and really pressure Steven's life total. There goes that Swords to Plowshare, immediately exiling that Grief, putting Steven back up to 20, and that's going to be followed up with the Thalia, making Steven's life very difficult as Steven's got no lands in play. William goes with a Mother of Ruins Wasteland pass. Nothing to Wasteland on Steven's side as he has yet to hit a land drop. Steven there regrettably showing his hand flush of lands. William here even swinging with a Mother of Ruins as there's no fear for removal and his only goal is to get Steven to 0 as fast as possible. Cracking the fetch land there, most likely getting that scrub land there. Most likely just to leave up Caracas while also deploying a 3 mana threat. He's thinking now. First probably gonna mush in for 3. Always do combat, make decisions later. Yep, there we go. And second main phase, looks like he's going for a Flicker Wisp just to increase his clock, not taking advantage of its ETB effect, just nearly resetting the Thalia as a blocker. Unfortunately, Steven there discarding again that Parhelion to hand size now, leaving back the Mother of Ruins as he's got lethal on board. Unfortunately, Steven ripping no lands and showing his hand full of action. Off to game 2 here, Steven on the play again. He's got a little more explosive start here. Goes with the Evoke Grief, pitching that Dark Ritual, and then attempts to Ephemerate, but unfortunately he didn't let the Grief trigger resolve first, so William was able to deploy his Solitude, allowing him for no mana to exile the Grief, fizzling the Ephemerate. Fortunately, Steven still gets the 1 Grief trigger and is able to pick off that Stoneforge Mystic, but he wasn't able to get his triple Grief action as well as having the Grief in play with that Ephemerate on rebound. Really tragic play pattern here that Steven will learn from these mistakes and not make them again. Unfortunately here, forgetting that Grief was in exile from that solitude, attempts to reanimate, looks at the Stoneforge Mystic, but then realizes he has no equipment in his deck, so decides to just pass on the reanimate. William now cracking his fetch lane here with potentially double port up, really hindering Steven's development here. He can just pass in his upkeep, tap down both of his lands there. A little technical difficulty there. Got the footage back up. Steven now, both of his lands tapped. He's cracked his fetch land now. Looking for either a swamp or a plains here. Swamp, maybe he's eyeing that reanimate or entomb, or decides to just pass the turn. Maybe sitting on an entomb. William now cracking his fetch land. Very much so threatening this lock on Steven's mana base with 2 ports available. Able to deploy an Aether Vial, allowing him to get around of using his mana, or his lands for mana, because now he's using his lands to disrupt Steven. He can still use the Aether Vial to deploy threats. Decides to just take down one of his lands as he's holding up some sort of interaction with either Swords to Plowshares. Prismatic Ending from Steven's side. Clean new removal spell that allows you to effortlessly exile small mana value items, notably not Murktide Regent, but a lot of the interactable cards in the format you want to get rid of. Prismatic Ending answers. Plague Engineer now he's seeing from William's side, naming Pest, because the Sedgemoor Witch Chain of Smog combo produces 1/1 pests, and that Plague Engineer stopping the pests in their track. 2 damage now coming in, starting to chip away at Steven's life total, back down to 20. Now William here with the triple port decides to start off with just a Flicker Wisp. Allows him to get the double port, leaving up just a plains. Really unfortunate situation for Steven here. Luckily rips a land, gives him a window with 2 mana, but unfortunately unable to deploy anything. And now he's really looking down. He's got damage on the board coming across, and he's got this triple port, really going to be pressuring his land ability. Feasibly only 1 black or white source will be available on his next turn. Back to Steven's upkeep now. William decides tap down, tap down, tap down, leaving just the white mana up. Steven now flush of black 1-drop spells as well as some other clunkers. Wasteland now taking out that Concealed Courtyard. Steven with no lands by the time he gets his main phase. Really unfortunate situation. It's going to be tough for him to dig out of this. Fortunately, he does run Lotus Petals and Dark Rituals. So if he's able to get some sequence of Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, maybe Entomb, Reanimate, he'll be able to do something. But unfortunately, both the Greasefang and the Parhelion are legendary. And our boy William here is sitting on this Caracas in play, which allows him to return target legendary creature to its owner's hand. Yep, Steven seeing the writing on the wall. William with the clean 2-0 finish with Black-White Death and Taxes over Steven's Black-White Greasefang. Death and Taxes just able to lock the board down and really oppress Steven's mana with the Rishodon ports in play, preventing him from able to develop his game plan. We really like to see this Greasefang deck more because having a Parhelion into play always sounds like a good time. If you like what you see and are interested in more content, feel free to like and subscribe down below. And if you're interested in the deck list, everything is listed in the description. And a special thanks to Spellhold Games for allowing us to record and produce this content at the store. And if you like what you saw, well, hopefully we'll see you again next week.